There we go.
I'm doing my dancing. You can't
Okay.
see it.
Oh, you're all over here. You're like, hey, I'm dancing. That's because you're like this in the camera. So, hey,
I
hey, guys,
know. I gotta
now we're
lean back.
live. But if you're hopping on, say hey. Today we are going to talk about something that's like duplication, but not what you think. Because when I hear the word duplication, I think, oh, all things systems, right? No, we're going to talk to you today about how to attract and inspire a massive team. If you are struggling to be seen on social media and to attract the right people, maybe no one's taking action and you're, either like buying the products or the lack of motivation, like from the time they join to the just kind of like stage, right? Or people dropping like flies. Okay, so in this training, we are going to show you how to attract and inspire a massive team to you. By the way, I'm Cassie Billingsley, aka that systematic chick. And hey, guess what? I have a voice this time. And
Yay!
this is Sarah Lynn.
Over here.
So if you're hopping on live, say hey, put hashtag replay if you're watching the replay. But we want to dive into this training and go over 3 key points to how to attract and inspire a massive team.
Absolutely. So I'm pretty excited about today's training as Casey. Whoa.
Casey,
Whoa.
rename me.
Cassie had said, um, this isn't just about systems. Now, Cassie is all about systems, that hence the systematic chick. But there is another big factor here. When it comes to attracting and influencing a massive team to you, and to create that amazing duplication that we all crave for within our business. And the very first thing that you guys have to do before getting plugged into any sort of system or creating a system of your own, you have to learn how to attract by being unapologetically you. You've probably heard me say this a ton of times. Heard Cassie say this a ton of times. And it is because we believe it to our core. We have branded a program around being unapologetically you. When it comes to marketing, I would say that would be almost like a core value when it comes to it. And that is because we are extremely passionate about being authentic and true and real and raw, versus putting up this front on social media that's really, really difficult for other people to connect with, relate to, or even duplicate.
Yeah.
So that's just that I want, or as you kind of move forward, and you're like, dude, I am struggling to be seen in the social media world. I challenge you to look back upon your content and be like, is this really me? And if you're struggling to see, like, if this is really me, then ask someone close around you, your spouse, your best friend, your family, like, is this really sound like me? Is this really, is my funny self coming across, or, who I am? Am I really like this in real life? And that's important. One, because you want to attract like-minded people to you. But I also said, when you are showing up unapologetically as you, it becomes far more duplicatable for your team members because they view that as an example rather than just trying to put up a front or try to be someone completely different. I see it all the time. In fact, I fell, I don't know, I don't want to say victim to it, but I fell, to the habit or of where inside one of my previous companies where all the leaders, they showed up very, very differently on social media than online. And it was these beautiful and curated images, and I'm like, okay, this is what I need to do. Whereas I'm like the selfie queen. Like, it's just what I do. I'd
Amen to
rather show up authentically and have good conversations, and just be silly. But then I started to make that shift, and I'm like, oh, maybe I do need to put on these beautiful curated images that look like a photographer did it. And I spent so much time on that, and I got so critical of myself, and it was just so difficult. And none of my team members were able to duplicate it. And so I'm like, hold on a second, what is happening? I felt like I was losing myself. So don't As you go through this, it's a journey, of course. Like if you find that you are not attracting anybody or you're not attracting like-minded people, then you might need to evaluate yourself and how you're showing up on social media. And by recognizing that and be like, okay, how can I show up as unapologetically as myself? And another thing that comes around with being just who you are, this also, this something that kind of plays into it is not being afraid to share your opinion. So whether it is political, now I'm not saying to become a political channel, but if that's something you're passionate about, share it from time to time. You're going to bond with people who have like-minded, ideas versus bonding with people who you're like, you come to realize you're like, oh, we don't have anything in common. So if you have controversial opinions, and it doesn't have to be about politics, maybe you're in the health and wellness and you believe that keto is the way to lose weight, that is the healthiest way to lose weight. Plant your flag and be strong, with that opinion. Um, if you feel like there needs to be there are some wounds within your industry or in your niche, address them, call them out. You might, and you most likely will, get some hate. We all do. But here's the thing, when you get some hate, it means that you struck a nerve. It means that your content stood out. It means that people who agree with you are like, yes, you are my person. And the people who don't, they automatically will eliminate you from their circle. And that's great for you because then you don't have to continue on your life's journey with people who are not a part of your circle, people that you wouldn't want to align with or spend all day in a canoe with. I don't know why that came to my mind, but could you imagine spending all day with someone who's the complete opposite of you inside a canoe?
They would drown. Just kidding. Just kidding.
Like that's just my thought. So being, and that's a part of being unapologetically you, is you're not afraid of sharing those controversial thoughts or those opinions that you have. So that's the very first part when it comes to attracting and even influencing your team. By showing up as yourself, they're going to take that and they're going to apply it to themselves too. They're going to see your content because you attracted those like-minded people, and they're going to take it and model it themselves, making their content creation far more easier, especially if they're unfamiliar or they're new to the social selling industry. So that's my first thought for today.
I love that because, I mean, can you imagine? I mean, just sit for a second and think about your team. If it wasn't so cookie cutter and everybody having to do the same thing, but people could actually show up and show their personality and be them. How, one, like the joy that would bring them, that they don't have to like do all these things just right. They could just be themselves.
Yep.
And could you imagine that cultivation of that community that you'll have of people who are having fun in the industry, because it's about dang time that we start having fun in the network marketing industry and stop being so cookie cutter and such a process that everybody has to go through the same box, right? So when you know me, I love systems. And so I'm, of course, going to talk about a system that you can go through, but with a human approach, guys. Okay. So once you're showing up and you're being you, I like to think of like the KISS method. Okay. Keep it simple, Sally, right? Because we don't want to we don't want to say the bad things. My kids are not allowed, and they're teenage boys, and they're not allowed to say that last thing. So keep it simple, Sally, from the very first entry point of when somebody comes in, right? So think of some systems that you might already have at your fingertips. One of those being is an ATM group. Now, I want to say like 99% of companies have an ATM group, whether it's for the opportunity or whether it's through the product side, right? It's where you add, tag, and message, where you're adding people into a group, you're tagging them in a post, and then you're following up with a message. So they might not, brand new spanking people.
Wow. People are spanking people.
I know. Brand spanking new people. They may not know, like, if you have a catalog of products, or they might not know much about the opportunity or about the business, an ATM group is a great way for them to just be able to leverage. So they're not doing the heavy lifting, right? The heavy lifting's already been done. Okay. They can leverage it and they don't have to be the expert in the industry just yet. Okay. So if you are taking a new person in and you add them into a group and then follow up with them, message them, that's a duplication system, guys. And that person that you're walking through the journey, they're watching you and going, oh, well, I can do that. I can add people to a group. Okay. So keep it simple. Have a launch plan. Most companies have a launch plan with posts that they can leverage and modify on their own, right? You guys all have scripts. You all have a posting, maybe 14 days posting plan of how to launch your business online. Okay. Walk them through that. Show them what that looks like for a launch plan, and then help them to modify their own. Because remember, we want to show up as ourselves, not that cookie cutter where we're just copying and pasting the post over. Okay. Have simple directions and scripts that can help them connect, share, and get new people started like seamlessly. Okay. So, a simple way, like a simple system for you guys to be able to have, is invite them to the ATM group. Okay. Invite them to 3-way chats. Let your team know that you're available, or if there's other leaders within your team, let them know that they're available to throw somebody in a 3-way chat that's more interested, but they have some questions and they don't really know. Because for them to come to you, ask you a question, then have to go back to the person, that takes time and a lot of energy, right? Instead of just being able to throw them in a 3-way chat, get the question answered, and then, they're enrolling or whatever the case being. Make sure you're doing follow-ups, okay? Follow-ups, pen and paper, that kind of stuff. Just being able to follow up with the potential, especially if you add them to an ATM group, guys. Don't just dump them in an ATM group and wait for them to come back to you, okay? That is like a huge no-no. Like, follow up with them. Ask them if they had any questions. Did they have time to watch the video? When can I follow up with you? Like, if I follow up with you tomorrow around 3 p.m., will that work for you? Like, just keep that conversation going and then plug them into your team's systems. Okay. Most teams have Facebook groups. They have the guide section. They have the systems. But if you just enroll somebody and then leave them to fend for themselves, you're missing that human approach, right? Like, you don't just forget about them and then be like, okay, good luck, have fun, reach out when you need something. No, you have to be present as a leader. And the more that you're present and the more that you have a human touch and the more that you're just being you, then they're going to be intrigued. They're going to be like ready to go. The fire is going to be under them because they have that community of support and they know that they're not alone in this. Help them with their post, guide them what to say for follow-ups, be available. And I'm not saying be available 24/7. Okay. You have to guard your time and you have to have your non-negotiable. Like for me, after 3 p.m., if the boys are in sports, it's 5 p.m. if they are. I'm unplugging for a moment so I can check in with my kids, see how school went. Like, how was their day? Did they have homework? Let me get dinner going, because that's their time. I have from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. to work on my business and to do other things. But when they get home, they are my first priority. So make sure you set healthy boundaries, but keep your duplication system very simple and very human. Like, have that human touch where people feel that they're connected.
Absolutely. And I feel like that's going to lead up to our third point today, which is develop your leadership skills. But really quick, I just want to give a shout out. Hello, my friend.
Hello.
It is maybe Anne.
I know. I was going to say, is it Anne? Is it not Anne?
I don't know. StreamYard, though. I got it. I got you. Either way, I just wanted to say hello right back to you. Thank you for hopping on. Today, we are talking all about how to attract and inspire a massive team.
Christine.
Oh, it's Christine. Yay. So excited. So thank you, Christine, for hopping on. Um, as I said, we're learning all about how to attract and inspire a massive team. The first part was attract by being unapologetically you. Cassie just covered leverage a simple system but with a human approach, and was a beautiful tie into her third point, which is develop your leadership skills. Um, I really truly believe to my core that having the human approach, or not losing the human or the human touch inside your team and as they go through the system is a huge quality trait or a huge trait regarding a leadership skill. Hopefully
Mhm.
that makes sense. But the biggest thing is that when you are learning how to lead a team, anyone can be a leader even if they don't have a team. Because it can start just by simply leading from the front by taking consistent action yourself. So, whether you have no one, whether you have one person, two people, or a giant team of 100 or 1,000 or a couple thousand, you never want to let go of this one particular area is lead from the front by taking consistent action yourself. Why? Well, when you stop doing the work or you stop showing up because there is all this other stuff going on, or there isn't something in place to take that spot for you, your team is going to lose momentum.
Mhm.
They learn from you, they watch you, and it could be it could be a scary place to be in. Um, but you're most of the time when people are joining the industry, they are modeling what they see. They model the leaders within. And so you as a leader, when somebody trusts you and locks arm with you, you want to go ahead and be that person. You are creating a culture, you're creating an environment here. So be that person that leads from the front by taking that sort of consistent action yourself. And if you have certain things that you want to embody within your team's culture, then embody that. Like with what Cassie just said, where help them with the posts, guide your team with what they need to say for follow-ups, and be available, but within reason. Having those healthy boundaries and by setting that from the front is going to help create that ripple effect within the rest of your team. I'm a huge advocate for condoning the hustle culture within this industry. It is a big freaking deal and it's caused a lot of grief. It's caused a lot of issues in myself as well. And that is one thing moving forward is that nope, there is no hustle culture coming from me. And therefore, my team, I don't want them to go ahead and take that on from me. So I need to represent that. I need to be that person who embodies that so that way they can also breathe as well. So
Mhm.
lead from the front by taking that action. Some other things when it comes to your leadership skills is never, ever, one of the biggest turn offs for your team is when you start to depend on your team members for your income. But and you're only there when it comes to you fulfilling your goals. I put a question out on my personal page last week. What is your biggest frustration and disappointment in the network marketing industry? The most popular one that people could relate to and agree to was when their uplines only reached out when it came to their uplines goal. That's shitty. I am just calling it out. It is shitty behavior and it needs to stop.
Mhm.
And I can relate. I had an upline who did that too. I've been in multiple companies, multiple different uplines, and that was such a huge turnoff when my upline did that.
Mhm.
And so, but it was one of those things where, like, all right, I am learning from that. I never want my team to feel like I am dependent on them, but you do want to be there to support their goals. All right. It is about them, not about you. When you make it about them, this is a mindset shift. When you make it about them, they're going to be grateful. They're going to be, super thankful for you leading them and moving forward or helping them with achieve their goals, whether it's 500 bucks a month or 5,000 bucks a month.
Mhm.
But be there, where maybe you need to do one-on-ones with them or host group calls with them, whatever it is to help them move forward. Super, super important. But I also encourage you to build up your own customer base so that way you don't have to feel that pressure to depend on your team, because that is another, like I said, huge turnoff. When I left a company, one of the things that my upline said, the very first thing when I told her I was leaving was, but what about my team? Wasn't about my happiness. It wasn't about celebrating or anything like that. Like, you could have your disappointment, but as soon as she said that, I'm like, oh, I'm just a number to you. Cool. Don't do that. That burns bridges. This is networking. It's building up relationships. Okay. So just be, do mental check-ins with yourself. I understand when we have these goals, we have these dreams, these desires. And if we leverage this industry for our sole income, sometimes it can be, filled with anxiety where we're like, oh, this is my bread and butter. If I lose people, like, I'm screwed. That's where you want to get so dependent on just your own work and so
Mhm.
so not dependent on your team.
Yeah.
But knowing that that is a bonus, that is a perk, and that is something that you can be extremely grateful for. So that was a hot topic from last week that I had learned. Some other things here when it comes to leadership skills, guys, is be a human that sees them as humans. The ones, not just a number. Like I said, one of the biggest complaint is when people feel like a number is because they feel used. They
Mhm.
get into this industry. A lot of the times, people get into the industry for the community, for the people within, for their own personal development. And when something doesn't go right and they feel like a number, it is such a turnoff, and it can crush somebody and their dreams, and it can make them feel just just awful. It's a feeling that I would wish that nobody had experienced before. Um, and then finally, like, there's so much on leadership skills that I can go on and on. The biggest thing that I can say though is, it starts from the top. Be unapologetically you, but learn how to serve others. Be that servant leader where you're helping your team, you're helping those around you and not depending on them. That's
Mhm.
extremely important for anything that you do. When you put out content, create content for free value. That's what with this group,
Yeah.
everything inside this group, guys, is free. We do offer a mentoring program. And that's because of our time, and there's a lot there. That's, yes, is not free, but there is a ton of value in here. That's because we want to be those people that help you guys. We want to lead, from the front by saying, hey, in order to really truly succeed in this industry, you've got to go ahead and give more than you take. Like, there's just so
Mhm.
much. I could go on. But anyways, to wrap this up, sorry.
No, I get it. I'm sitting right there and I was like, "Oh, I have something to say. Oh, oh," and then I'm like, "No, just
Yeah, it lights
another
us on
day, another
fire.
time."
Yeah. This is such a hot topic because, guys, like, poor leadership creates wounds. It
Mhm.
hurts people. People don't leave companies because of poor product. Generally they do not leave because of poor product. However, I know people who have stayed when the product was creating adverse effects. They stayed until something went wrong with the leadership. It's not the comp plan, it's not the products. It is the people that cause people to leave your company, your team. Just think about that. That's why, like, it fires both me and Cassie up. So if you feel like, wow, there is a lot of power when it comes to developing the leadership skills, here's my tip for you is plug into any sort of leadership training that your company provides, or seek out elsewhere. There's some amazing authors out there like John C. Maxwell. There's other great leaders out there like Tony, oh my gosh, Tony Robbins.
I was like, "Did you really forget his last name?"
I did. I was going to say Tony Maxwell. I'm like, no, I just said that. And many other great leaders out there. They don't have to be only relevant to this industry. They could be those who, I mean, there's so many books out there. You just type up
Mhm.
leadership books and you will find a ton that come up. So definitely plug into that and always constantly be developing that in yourself.
Right. And I love that. And yeah, I mean, it's just definitely a conversation for another day or another training for another day. But to wrap this up, you guys, we want you to start taking action yourself, to develop those leadership skills, right? We want you guys, this is networking. Our group is here for you guys to network, to build connections, to maybe get a couple sales, like those kind of things. That's why we do the Promote Yourself Friday. Like, we want you guys to take what you're learning and apply it here, and maybe get a bonus sale or something. especially with the holidays coming up, life gets crazy, life gets busy, but I want you to create a post within this group and introduce yourself, right? Got to say who you are, because we have asked you guys in the welcome video those kind of things like, hey, introduce yourself, do a post. So I'm asking again. I want you guys to connect. And so I want you to do an introduction, introduce who you are. And I want you guys to drop in any specific book or training that you have found valuable within the leadership and drop it in this community to share. So introduce yourself. Like I could be like, hey, I'm Cassie, a mother of 2 boys. I love adventures. You know, I work on my business from 8 to 5 because that's my freedom time, right? No children, they're all at school. You know, and then say like the one books that I have read or listened to, you know, is Developing a Millionaire Mindset, or who's the author that we did with the serve, love, and care, the 3 things. What is his name, Sarah Lynn?
Oh, I don't know. That I was gonna write up my own post, but
there you go. So
it was between that one or the other.
Right, we'll write up our post too, and it's Og Mandino is a good person.
Yes.
I was looking at my books because he writes a good one. But anyways, you know, all those things. So write a post, guys, and we'll do a post each introducing ourselves as well, because, right, we got to take action ourselves and lead from the front. And so drop those posts in this week. And if you guys have any questions, drop them in the group chat or the comments.
Absolutely. All right, friends, thanks for hanging out for today's Wednesday workshop. Stay tuned next week. We will be dropping in a new poll for some upcoming topics. So if you have anything that you'd like to learn on, go ahead. That would be the place for you to go ahead and drop it in. But we are so excited to read your posts and specifically learn more about other books that can help develop our own leadership skills. So I'm pretty pumped about that. All right, friends, we'll talk soon. Bye.